Jill Coit is a life coach who helps women remember who they are so that they can live their lives with joy and purpose. Her clients are experiencing big shifts in their lives in all areas. One client recently told her that her life feels nothing short of miracles. Today, Jill will introduce us to who she is by telling us her story on how remembering who she is changing her life. So let's welcome Jill Coit. And this is her Icebreaker speech. First Icebreaker speech.
Thank you, Wendy, fellow Toastmasters, and distinguished guests. I am Jill Coit. I am a life coach, a mother, a wife, a sister, a daughter, and a friend. I am a recovering people pleaser, perfectionist, doing addict, and overachiever. But I am so much more than my roles and my habitual habits of being. I just had to remember. 6.5 years ago, my husband's company relocated us from Dallas, Texas to Broomfield. I felt like I landed in a foreign place. I was alone in my kitchen while my husband was at work and the kids were at school, feeling fearful. I became afraid to leave my house. Not because I was agoraphobic, but more I was afraid of the judgment of others. My mind or my social self was telling me that my neighbors didn't like us, or my parents were unhappy with me because they paid for private school education and I wasn't using it anymore. 21 years ago, I met my husband in a campus bar in Norman, Oklahoma, a Chicago boy who wanted to be a Sooner. I knew he was the guy for me right away. I grew up in Oklahoma City, graduated from the University of Oklahoma, and decided I wanted to move to Chicago. I wanted to be courageous and bold and brave and different. So I followed the boy to continue our relationship and ready and eager to start my career. After all, my parents were overachievers as well. They raised me to be achievement-oriented. They both owned their own businesses. I had quite a few achievements up to that point. In high school, I was on the speech team and the basketball team. I was a leader in student council. My senior year, I was selected to go to a conference on entrepreneurship at the Wharton School of Business in Philadelphia. In college, I was on the Dean's Honor Roll, and I spent a summer working at Walt Disney World in the college internship program. Thing is, all the things I'd done and all of my achievements could not prepare me for having a hard time at my first job or prepare me for that horrific Chicago winter. I felt like I was failing, and instead of staying and sticking it out, I returned to familiarity, like I'd done so many times before and would prove to do so many times again. 6.5 years ago, I was alone in my kitchen in Broomfield. But this time, I couldn't return to the familiarity. I couldn't go home. I was married, I had 2 kids, we had a house, and we were tied to my husband's career because at this time I was a stay-at-home mom. In my 20s in Dallas, I rose up the corporate ladder. I became an executive in an education company. I was a regional marketing director overseeing 19 marketers in 17 centers. I was excelling in my career, and I self-identified through my work. I felt worthy because of my success. Just shy of turning 30, I had my son Wyatt. He's 12 now, if you do the math. I had my son Wyatt, and it was like I couldn't excel. I knew right away I could not excel in my work and be the mom that I was being called to be. And so we decided that I would stay home. If you're someone who puts her self-identity in her work and her worth and her success, staying home to be with a baby, well, let's just say I had quite the internal freak out. So I threw myself into being the best mom I could be. I found friends for us, and we went to zoo dates and play dates. We had a social life of all social lives, and things seemed great. But I had a hint that I wasn't on the right track when Wyatt was about to turn 3 and I had my daughter Katie. couldn't be the spectacular mom to Wyatt because I had to give my time and myself to my daughter. Years later, in my kitchen in Broomfield, I realized I had taken my worth from my work and I put it onto my kids. Alone in my kitchen 6.5 years ago, I felt lonely and scared and lost. I didn't know who I was or what I was supposed to do. Life had informed me that worth comes from what you do and who you know, to please people and to achieve and to do and to perfect. And here I was in Colorado, without a job, without a social life, with no one to measure myself against and nothing to achieve. It was a lonely, scared feeling, and I wasn't really a super great person to be around. It was at that point, after months, my poor husband, you guys, where I had this feeling in my body, and I talked to you guys about how I get these intuitive hits often, that I realized the only thing standing in my way of myself and my unhappiness and this life that I have always felt I was being called to lead, the only thing keeping me from going there was myself. And I had to start changing my questions. So I started with asking the only question that I knew to ask at the time, and that is, if I could do anything, what would I do? And every time I asked, I heard, you will be a motivational speaker. Well, newsflash, you can't go from being a stay-at-home mom, slightly miserable in your kitchen, to motivating thousands of people. So what ensued were a series of magical manifestations that will be for a speech another day, and lots of deep work. I dove into self-help and personal development, and eventually took courses on how to be a life coach. And what I realized is that I was never broken. I didn't need help per se, and I wasn't personally really developing. It was more of a rediscovery, of peeling away the layers and the meanness and the things that I had told myself for years and years. It was a remembering of who I really am, my truth, the real me. Once I remembered, you guys, my entire life started to change. My marriage is now better than it has ever been. Even back in that bar in Norman, Oklahoma, when I was full of insecurities and self-doubt, my marriage and my relationship is infinitely better today than it's ever been. My relationship with my children, I show up as a more present and patient and connected mother every day. I live my life free of obligation and willing to set loving boundaries, because I remember that I am love and light and kindness, and I'm an encourager, and I'm a motivator, I'm a strategizer, and I'm a maximizer. I'm intuitive, and I'm forgiving, and I see the gifts in every person that I meet. I love to shake hands with someone in person or metaphorically and say, I see you, I feel you. You are worthy and you are enough just because you are you. And I am worthy and I am enough just because I'm me. So today, man, I love being alone in my kitchen. There is nothing like that quiet time to wipe a counter or have a drink of water. And to realize I really like myself and I like being with me. Remembering who I am changed my life, and now I found this joy and the purpose and the happiness within me that was there all along. All those years, my God, I was looking for it over there in the work, or over there in the kids, or over there in the friends. I was looking for it everywhere outside of me, and I had it within me all along. And now I get to help other women remember who they are, and to see their gifts, and their worth, and their purpose, and their joy, and their happiness. So today, I'm all good. Alone in my kitchen, and in my heart, it's all really good.